Hi, so I have this repository here and I wanted to create a simple tool to show you how to use the Steemit API. So I created this Steam word cloud. It's not the first word cloud, but I think it works pretty well. Now the way that it works is you add in any username. So you could add in, Dan, for example, and you can generate a word cloud based on their name, where the size of each word is how often they say it. So in this video, I want to talk about how do we go through and improve our code quality. Something that I think a lot of people talk about is what is code quality, what is better versus worse code. And as you kind of get more experience, this will become more clear, but I want to show you some concrete examples of improving it. So if you check out this commit right here, cleanup and refactor code, you can see how I introduced a few new tools to make the code quality a lot better. Specifically, I added tools like Webpack and Gulp. So if you're a little familiar with how HTML pages work, in HTML you can pretty much put everything you want in one page, right? So here we can see that I added the Steam API script. I added some other custom scripts to actually, create the word cloud. But this makes this index file extremely large, right? This is not good, right? You don't want to be copying and pasting in one giant file. Imagine trying to edit this file. It's not very clear what does what. Editing this file, unless you were the one who created it, is kind of a nightmare, right? So we can do better. So instead of having everything in one file, now we have a bunch of different files that each have a very clear responsibility of what they should have inside them. So let's close this. No one wants to see this. So let's talk about some of the new files that were introduced, right? So instead of, the first thing is some of those files were copied and pasted and they're available on NPM, right? Why would I copy and paste them if they were available on NPM? Well, it's kind of hard to, get the paths. If you look at what NPM looks like locally, it's not very clear, okay, what file do I need to include? The path is kind of long. But if I use something like Webpack, I can actually bundle all of the dependencies, external and internal, into one single file. So if we look at kind of the root file that Webpack is using, we import Steam instead of using it as a script tag. So if we look at what was being done before, right, we can see that in this index.cshtml, we have this script tag, and now instead of doing that, it says easy as importing it. Similarly, this word cloud is another library that someone else has created. Instead, this whole second script tag, let me get to it real quick. This whole script tag right here was just the word cloud. Kind of ridiculous that I would copy and paste it all in, but now that I have Webpack, I can just import it. So how does Webpack allow me to do this? The way that Webpack works is it starts with one file, and then it looks at all the files that file imports, and then it keeps going recursively until it gets all of the files that are needed from the root file, and it bundles them into a single kind of output package, right? That output looks like this, right? Not super usable, not super readable. I would recommend staying away from this. But yeah, this is kind of this is what the browser actually gets. But instead, I can work as a developer in really nice, clean files, right? So before, we saw this list of really long words. It's not kind of clear that this index.html should have responsibility for this list of long words. So instead, we put it in its own file, right? And now if I want to add or remove any, I know exactly the place I should go. So this is just a little short tutorial about how code quality kind of works in practice. Really, the main lesson I want you to get is that for code quality, it should be very clear what every file is doing. Every file should have a very specific, purpose. The difficulty, for code quality is sometimes you have to introduce additional tools, additional steps to get things up and working, but the result is it is much easier to understand the overall system. Hey, I hope this is useful, and if you guys have any videos, any topics that you would want me to talk more about, please let me know.